全てはここから始まった。
悪なき闘争と反逆、血の宿命だ。
私の愛する平八さんはやがて世界を戦乱に巻き込み多くの犠牲を生むでしょう。
貴様何者じゃ。
我は剣を極めし者なり。
全ては動き出した。もう誰も止めることはできない。
貴様があの時母を殺した。貴様をここで終わらせる。
貴様の野望もこれで終わりじゃ。戦いとは最後にどちらが立っているか。それだけのこと。決着をつけるとするか。
Man, I don't know how I feel about Tekken 7. On one hand, it's still good-ass Tekken, but on the other hand, some of the new characters, new mechanics, lack of modes, and unfocused story mode makes me feel some kind of way. Then there's the whole issue of Tekken's online play and netcode that we gotta get into. But let's discuss that a bit later. Nothing too interesting happened this time as far as development goes. You got the arcade release first, followed up by a home console port with a subtitle. This time it was called Fated Retribution. There was a lot of interest in 7 from the start thanks to the 2014 EVO trailer revealing none other than Akuma as a playable guest character. This was hype as fuck, but not unexpected as Tekken and Street Fighter were collabing at the time. Remember Street Fighter Cross Tekken? It was a crossover between two legends in the fighting game genre, and the deal was like what Capcom had with SNK. One side would make their version of the game, and the other side would make theirs. Street Fighter Cross Tekken is Capcom's attempt at the idea, and it's a really mixed bag. Not to get too into the weeds here, but this basically came out at a time when Capcom was making some really dumb decisions. Basically, the dumbass gem system and on-disc DLC killed this game outright. Bandai Namco was nowhere near ready to put out their side of the crossover, but Capcom allowed them to use Akuma in their game as a guest character, and that was that. Tekken 7 has Akuma as part of the roster. How would Bandai Namco translate something like this into 3D? Pretty well, actually. Perhaps a little too well. Part of me thinks that Tekken 7's mechanics were made just to accommodate Akuma. I have no proof, mind you, just a tinfoil hat theory based on vibes. Tekken 7 is the most different Tekken has been since 4 in terms of mechanics. There's a lot here, so here goes. Bound moves have been reduced. The bound system remains, but fewer moves will bound opponents now. Screw moves replace bound moves, making your opponent spin and land in a way where you can follow up on combos. Power Crush is an attack that has armor-like properties on it. You still take damage, but the move won't get interrupted. Wall bounces have been added and are self-explanatory. Stage effects like balcony and floor breaks have been ported over from Tag 2 to 7. Other tweaks are here too, like item attacks, improved backwalking, and dynamic camera shots during dramatic clashes. All those have been added here too. The biggest addition to 7's mechanics would be the Rage Drive and Rage Arts. Remember the Rage system? 7 takes things even further with the Rage Drive. You access your Rage Drive while in Rage mode. Once activated, you can perform moves with extra properties that they normally wouldn't have, like Screw or Bound. That's not free though, as this will cost your Rage mode for the round. Same deal with Rage Arts. At the cost of your Rage mode, you can do a series of damaging attack animations on your opponent. It's like Ultra Combos in Street Fighter, or more fittingly, Critical Edges from Soul Calibur. It looks cool on paper, but it's not without its caveats. One of the most divisive things about Tekken 7 is the inclusion of Rage Arts, which comes up just about as often as the netcode. We'll get to that. There's a lot to love about Rage Arts. They are flashy, they do good damage, they can be comboed into, and they can end combos. Conversely, they're easy to execute, they can be seen as a cheap comeback mechanic, and they can be overly long. There is the opinion that Rage Arts are out of place in Tekken in general. Those are good arguments on both sides, though I will say that Rage Arts fit better with Tekken 8's mechanics as opposed to 7's. What I do have an opposition to is Tekken 7's premise. I mean, the story is fine enough, I guess, but the execution is shit. So, Jin is still missing after his attack on Azazel, leaving the Mishima Zaibatsu without a leader. Heihachi sees this as an opportunity to reclaim the Zaibatsu, so he just strolls into Zaibatsu HQ and beats the fuck out of everyone. Now back in control, Heihachi announces another tournament to dry out Kazuya and sway public opinion about G Corporation. Heihachi allies with Claudio Serafino, who is a leader of a secret society of exorcists, to expose Kazuya as a devil to the world. Elsewhere, the UN has captured Jin, but he transforms and escapes into a desert town, where he runs into Hwoarang, who's been tracking him down since the last game. They fight, and in the process, Hwoarang gets injured while Jin flees. He doesn't get far though, because Lars shows up and takes Jin to Violet Systems. Meanwhile, Heihachi gets attacked by Akuma, who was sent by Kazumi before she died to kill both Kazuya and her husband. Wait, what? Alright, so, a couple of things. Is this motherfucker canon to Tekken? According to Bandai Namco, yes he is. Is Street Fighter canon to Tekken? No, it is not. Akuma exists, but no one else is canon in this universe. We can assume that Gotetsu and Gouken exist, but nobody else made the jump. Why didn't Akuma try to kill Heihachi and Kazuya earlier?
うぬらが力を持つまで待っておっただけのこと。今ここでカズミ殿との約束果たす。
Well, okay then. Anyway, Akuma seemingly kills Heihachi and leaves, but Heihachi survives and uses this as a chance to fake his death to try to get the jump on Kazuya. Later on, Nina and a bunch of Tekken Force soldiers raid Lee's lab and try to take Jin. Lee takes Jin back and Lars' team, Yggdrasil, fights off the Tekken Force long enough to escape, and Lee blows up the building with Nina and the Tekken Force still inside. So, Lee, Lars, and Elisa take Jin to another location. While there, some random dude tries to kill Jin. Whose mans is this? So he's just this anonymous journalist who's investigating the Mishima family, and he also wants to get revenge on Jin because Jin's war killed his family. This is the main character of Tekken 7's story mode, and the bulk of the story is from his perspective because it is framed as the report he made while investigating all this shit. So, the journalist has been compiling information about the Mishimas, and through him, we learned that Heihachi killed his wife, Kazumi, which caused Kazuya to hate him ever since. Anyway, Lars convinces the journalist not to kill Jin so Jin can beat Heihachi and Kazuya. As if he could anyway. While this is happening, Akuma heads to G-Corp and tries to kill Kazuya. When they face off, Akuma explains that he's trying to kill Kazuya to repay Kazumi for saving his life once. They fight, and Kazuya turns into his devil form, but Heihachi gets footage of this and later broadcasts it across the globe. Then, he shoots a satellite laser at the building to kill Akuma and Kazuya, which doesn't work, and Kazuya shoots a laser back at the satellite in retaliation. After all this goes down, the journalist gets invited out by Heihachi so he can meet him and tell the journalist his history. It is here where we learn about how Heihachi met Kazumi, and how they became lovers. Kazumi becomes ill and turns violent. Sometime later, when she recovers, she confronts her husband, saying that he is going to bring chaos to the world. She attacks him again, this time transforming into a devil, leaving Heihachi no choice but to kill her. Heihachi suspected that Kazuya had this power too and threw him off a cliff to see if he would survive it through the devil gene. Later, Heihachi and Kazuya meet up at a volcano. Probably the same one Kazuya got tossed into back in Tekken 2. It is there that these two assholes would fight one-on-one for the last time.
貴様とのざれ言も今日で終わりじゃ。貴様から全てを取り戻す。
Totally exhausted, the two fighters are at their breaking point until Kazuya lands a decisive blow, killing his father for good.
戦いとは最後にどちらが立っているか、それだけだ。
Heihachi Mishima is dead. As Kazuya drops his father into the volcano, Akuma shows up and fights him again. The outcome of this fight is unknown, but considering Kazuya is an 8 and Akuma refuses to double tap, he either defeated Akuma or Akuma left again without confirming his kill. What an assassin! Elsewhere, Lars and company are looking at all the destruction caused by the recent conflict. Heihachi is dead and the Zaibatsu took a major loss. But G-Corp isn't stopping the war anytime soon. Jin then shows up and vows to do everything he can to kill Kazuya and end the war for good. There. That is the premise of Tekken 7. Now, this would be the section of the video where I would talk about the fighters competing in the tournament, but just like the last game, there isn't a tournament in this game either. It got announced, but Heihachi got sidetracked and died before he could set anything up. There were no tournament results, and 90% of the cast wasn't doing anything of importance, and in some cases got shit on by the writers. I'm going to break the roster up into two camps, relevant and irrelevant. This isn't necessarily about whether the character is good or not, it's just if they matter in the grand scheme of Tekken 7's plot. In the relevant category, you have Jin, who gets picked up in the desert by Lars. After he recovers, he vows to defeat his father. Then you have Lars. He teams up with Lee and Elisa to fight against G-Corp and the Zaibatsu. Lee, he's still the CEO of Violent Systems. He aids Lars in his fight against Kazuya and Heihachi. Elisa, she gets revived by Lee after the events of the last game. She helps Lee take on the Tekken Force. Heihachi, duh. Nina, she is still working for the Zaibatsu. She gets sent on the mission to kill Jin, but is stopped by Lars and company. Kazuya, duh. Kazumi, duh. Akuma, duh. Well, wrong. He ran into Jin in a desert town and gets injured during the fight. It's why he looks like a K-pop pirate. Claudio, the strongest exorcist of the serious marksman. He begrudgingly assists Heihachi in his battle against Kazuya. And now we're at the irrelevant category. Martial Law. Law is seeking a strong fighter to run his dojo. He hears about a man who might be the next God Fist Master, so he seeks him out. Paul. He's taking on random challengers. One day he gets challenged by Panda. Xiao Yu. While trying to track down Jin, she meets Claudio. Claudio then decides to let her tag along with him to find Jin. Julia. She's become a streamer now to raise money and awareness about her reforestation project. Asuka. She gets conned into entering the tournament to fight Lily again. Lily. She wants to fight Asuka again, so she forces her to enter the tournament for a rematch. King. He wants money for the orphanage, so he enters the tournament. Armor King. He's training for a rematch against Marduk. Marduk. He's training for a rematch against Armor King. Steve. He's still in the dark about parts of his past, so he tracks down Nina for more information. Bob. He's on his way to the tournament when Brian destroys the road that he's on, so he throws hands with Brian. Brian, he's just out destroying stuff randomly. Safina. Even though Jin and Lars defeated him, Azazel's spirit still remained, so she sealed him within her arm. Safina realizes that Azazel's power is growing and seeks out the help of the Archers of Sirius. Panda. Panda lost track of Xiao Yu, so she enters the tournament to try and find her. This is the most Panda has done since Tekken 3. Jack 7. The newest model of the Jack series. While he was developing at G-Corp, they were also developing Gigas as well. G-Corp decides to enter both Jack and Gigas into the tournament to see who comes out on top. Kuma. He's helping out the Tekken Force recruit new members while being stationed in the Philippines. If the recruits do well in a fight against him, they pass. Yoshimitsu. He's trying to get intel on Heihachi, so he enters the tournament to do so. Bakumran, a Muay Thai fighter who got captured by the military to participate in an endless version of blood sport in his country. He believes that if he wins the tournament, he and his family may finally be free. Ganryu. He donated all his restaurant money to Julia by mistake, so he's in the tournament to get the prize money. Leroy Smith. His whole family died to gang violence tied to the Zaibatsu, so he enters the tournament to finally dismantle the Zaibatsu once and for all. Leo. Leo is still investigating their parents, so Leo enters the tournament again. Katarina Alves. She is searching for her adoptive father. She lacks enough money to really search for him, so she enters the tournament to grab the prize money. Josie Rizal. She's a model/kickboxer who aspires to join the Tekken Force after they helped her country out during a disaster. Somehow, she is a crybaby. Gigas. Katarina's adoptive father. He got captured by G-Corp and was experimented on to the point to where you see him the way he is now. Anna. She was going to retire and get married to her fiancé, but unbeknownst to Anna, he was a high-ranking member of the Mafia on top of being an elite G-Corp soldier, and Nina had to kill him as part of her contract, right on her wedding day, while wearing her wedding dress. Dick move, Nina. Lucky Chloe, an idol and G-Corp's mascot. Don't let the cute act fool you, she's a total bitch. Fang. He's still training like a madman. Dragunov. He enters the tournament on army orders. Shaheen. He's part of a PMC. His friend dies mysteriously and he learns that G-Corp may be responsible. Master Raven. She's Raven's boss. She infiltrates the tournament to take on Dragunov. Eddie. Eddie is going to try and take revenge on Kazuya, so he heads to G-Corp to take him on. Miguel. He's still out for revenge on Jin for his army bombing his sister's wedding. Eliza, a narcoleptic vampire living under Lily's estate. She originally appeared in Tekken Revolution, a game I was going to cover but ran out of time. Lei. He took some time off the police force after failing to find Jin. He's a fan of Lucky Chloe now. Lydia Sobieska. She is the Prime Minister of Poland. When Heihachi refuses her request to withdraw the Tekken Force from Poland, she enters the tournament to convince him personally. Kunimitsu. She's the daughter of the first Kunimitsu. When her mother falls ill, she decides to try and cheer her up by stealing the treasury that got away from her all those years ago. Yoshimitsu's sword. So that's almost everyone, except Tekken 7 gave us 3 more guest characters as DLC. So those characters would be Geese Howard from Fatal Fury, Noctis Lucius Kalem from Final Fantasy 15, and Negan from The Walking Dead. One of these things is not like the other. To be fair, Soul Calibur has had some wild picks for their guest characters in the past, but they were usually a warrior of some kind or had some kind of supernatural powers, but Negan is just some fucker with a bat. I guess he was just as good of a choice as any, as I can't imagine anybody else in that show being a better choice. Unless it was somebody that came on after Rick left. I stopped watching around that point. Anyway, they are strictly guest characters and have no bearing on the plot of 7. So that's the roster and everything they were doing during the Mishima conflict. Now, let's talk about the modes. I'm sorry to report that Tekken 7 got boned as far as modes are concerned. The story mode for this time is the Mishima saga, which we covered earlier in the video. You have online multiplayer and a handful of offline modes to round out the rest. In offline mode, you have the choice of playing Versus Battle and Arcade Battle, which is self-explanatory. You have Treasure Battle, which is just Ghost Battle with random cosmetic drops thrown in, and finally you have a Practice Mode. Now, it may feel like something is missing, and there is. Where is Team Battle? Like, seriously, where the fuck is it? I'll tell you where. Not in Tekken 7. You do have the option of playing Tekken Bowl if you buy the DLC for it, but I don't give a fuck about Tekken Bowl, so I didn't pay for it. Only other modes of note are the Jukebox, which lets you change the music of any stage to songs from previous Tekken games. And then there is the Gallery mode, which lets you access all the FMVs from past Tekken games, as well as some promotional art. I forgot this mode was in here, and it's pretty cool. It sucks you gotta use fight money to unlock all of it though. Tekken 7 is a bit bare content-wise, especially at launch. Basically, all you had after a while was multiplayer. Local multiplayer was going to be your best bet, because Tekken 7's netcode is rough, to say the least. If you have a strong Tekken scene going on somewhere, you could have a great time.
Game over.
Well damn. The pandemic changed everything, so why should gaming be excluded? Quarantines and 6-foot rules mean that you can't have locals of any kind. In-person events were always preferred to online ones because most fighting games use delay-based netcode for their games. Delay-based is janky at best and unreliable at worst. Nobody liked it, but everybody put up with it because you didn't have to use it. You could always go to locals to get your fix, but if your locals get cancelled, all you have left is online multiplayer. This rendered a lot of fighting games unplayable during the pandemic because of poor netcode and a lack of single-player content. And it wasn't just Bandai Namco having netcode issues. Capcom, Arxis, SNK, and Sega were also sticking up the joint too as well. So, the FGC banded together and demanded better netcode for their games. They wanted rollback. Which all rollback is that when one player does something, the system makes a guess to what the other player is doing while that other player is doing it. When the actions of both players go into the system, it matches up its guess with the actions of the people playing. If the actions match up with the guess, nothing happens. If they don't match up, the system rolls back to the point where it made the bad guess and puts in the correct action of the players. With delay based, the system waits until the player does something to execute it, making matches laggy as hell. Whether or not Tekken 7 improved its netcode is debatable. In any case, most people were running their shit through Parsec anyway, so it's whatever. Just like the results of this tournament. Oh wait! There was no tournament this time. Some of this shit happened for sure, like Heihachi dying, Safina meeting Claudio, and Law looking for help for his dojo, among other events. The only reason I know is because I have played through the story of Tekken 8 as of this video. Unfortunately, a lot of the cast of 7 has yet to make it into 8. Eddie Gordo is coming, sure, but no word on anyone else. You can rule out Master Raven though, and probably Gigas. So, that's Tekken 7. While I did play more of 7 than I did 6, I really don't have much of a desire to go back to it other than to play characters that aren't in 8. I miss you, Lei Wulong. The story mode is weird, the lack of modes is a bit of a letdown, and the netcode is subpar at best. Problems that 8 solved on day 1, and if that Tekken talk is an indicator, then we have much more to come. That's the Tekken Anthology. I had hoped to get all these done before Tekken 8 comes out, but shit happens, as they say. I wanted to cover the handheld Tekken games and Tekken Revolution, but I think I'll save that for a future video down the line. I really don't know how to end this, so let's close on Steve Fox getting swole.
Hey, Steve! We're here to bother you!
Hey, is Steve here?
Yo, you too. Long time no see. It's me.
Never change, Tekken. Never change.